A man walks into an alley, but never comes out. As the City Watch investigates his death, they overlook his killer still at the scene, painted on the wall over his lifeless corpse. Welcome to the Creature Case Files. Hail and well met, travellers. I am Constance Clearwater, Private Eye and your guide through the Creature Case Files, where we go through some of the most bizarre beasts of the Pathfinder 2nd Edition bestiaries. Today's case is one of the most perplexing I've ever faced, and one that's sure to pack any murder mystery with a shocking twist investigators won't soon forget. It was about 12 years ago. I was a rookie back then, eager to prove myself to the world. That's when I was given a particularly bizarre case indeed. A locked room murder that happened in the middle of the day out in the open. Z4 Slumber was a 34-year-old halfling man who worked as a vendor on the streets of a busy city. One day he ducked into an alley following a gold coin that had rolled away. The alley connected to two busy roads, both of which had multiple vendors selling their wares along either side. Witnesses saw him enter, but neither he nor a perpetrator were seen leaving. A scream rang out, but it was too late. They found him dead on the floor, neck snapped, and killer nowhere in sight. In cases like this, one might be tempted to believe that the killer was an invisible entity, or maybe something capable of teleportation. And while this may often prove to be the case, a thorough investigation of the scene proved that not only was the killer neither of these things, it was still present at the scene. The graffiti on the wall behind him. Living graffiti are a member of the living symbol family of monsters, one of the most esoteric types of constructs. These creatures are pieces of street art given life through strange and unusual magic, blessed with a twisted intelligence and pseudosapience uncommon in traditional constructs. Though not inherently evil, they are erratic entities, supposed by some to be driven by an intent to turn the world into as much of a caricature as their own two-dimensional home. Though usually two-dimensional themselves, living graffiti have the perplexing ability to emerge from walls and briefly become three-dimensional, if only for a moment. After that, they return to the surface they are bound to, making it exceptionally difficult to actually destroy them. After all, if you miss your attack against one bound to a brick wall, you risk damaging your equipment, which is bad news for any adventurer. If you do succeed in destroying the backdrop they're bound to, however, and there are no suitable surfaces to escape to within 5 feet, congratulations, you've instantly destroyed the creature. What's particularly interesting about living graffiti is that their secondary abilities vary wildly depending on what they're composed of. A living graffiti made of oil paint can splatter their foes, aiming to dazzle their senses. One made of chalk gains a blinding, powdery breath weapon, and one made of ink is more durable and dangerous, but gains a weakness to water. There's even reports of ones made of blood that can absorb the ichor from their opponent's wounds to heal themselves in a fight. Thankfully, living graffiti tend not to be dangerous foes, and as level 3 monsters, they can usually be faced by even the most amateur of adventurers, my rookie self included. But I would not have been so lucky if I'd come up against their much more dangerous cousin. While you're likely to find living graffiti in broad daylight, if you're in the ruins of a spellcaster's tower or the depths of a dark dungeon, you must remain vigilant for the living rune. Living runes are similar in many ways to their low-level cousins. They are two-dimensional constructs that can emerge from their bound surfaces to strike at opponents. However, while graffiti are capricious wild things, living runes are quite the opposite. They are cold, meticulous entities, often left by powerful spellcasters to protect places of great importance. Their greatest strength is their especially powerful magic. As level 13 monsters, as well as being much more physically powerful than living graffiti, they're usually able to cast up to 7th level spells. These can include hard hitters such as Prismatic Spray, Chain Lightning, or even Disintegrate. Just like their graffiti cousins, living runes come in many different forms, this time depending on the magic that created them. A divine living rune may resemble holy symbols or demonic sigils and have spells like Divine Decree or Blade Barrier. A primal one may resemble carvings of an ancient tradition in stone or wood with spells like Volcanic Eruption or Baleful Polymorph, etc., etc. Overall, these creatures are not to be trifled with by adventuring parties unless they have a moderate amount of experience under their belts. So, what should you do when encountering a living symbol? Well, that really depends on the circumstances. Despite everything discussed, they are not inherently malicious creatures. A living rune may be to protect holy sites from wicked creatures, and living graffiti may just be a piece of art commissioned to entertain a noble. If there's any doubt, talk to them. These creatures are much more intelligent than most constructs, and while they can't speak back, most do understand common. Living runes even have the true script ability, which allows them to sculpt their form into complicated scripts and pictographs that can be understood by anyone who can read. They might even be quite good at conversation. Of course, if you're forced into combat, diplomacy is out the window. I implore you to remember that despite everything, they're still constructs, so they have a lot of immunities. Any magic targeting souls are out the window despite their intelligence. However, this same intelligence does make them suspect to mental effects like demoralizing or enchantment, if you're willing to risk it. That should do it for today, everyone. Have you ever encountered a living symbol? I'd be curious to hear of your experiences with the strange phenomena. Be sure to let me know. Thank you all for attending, and be here next time for our next Creature Case File.
Hey GMs, do you run APs and need a place to organize your notes and sessions? Or do you create your own world and need to organize your NPCs and homebrew content? Check out World Anvil, a set of world-building tools that helps you create and organize your campaign setting. Create wiki-like articles, timelines, and even interactive maps for your world, and then use their campaign manager to schedule and organize sessions. Players can join your game to add their PCs and interact with the world in and out of session using the character manager and discussion boards which include play-by-post options. Check it out.